Minaj aimless, I put you on your back. 100 grams and better, or get your numbers fully loaded. You can blow like Mike, and that's facts. A nigga rich or ignorant, that shit don't even make no sense. A nigga ignorant because he black.
YouTubers, what's up, gamers? Red Crimson Gaming here. Man, so the Nintendo Switch 2 reveal came and went. Nintendo revealed the Nintendo Switch 2 last week. And before we get into that, guys, forgive me for my audio. I'm actually at work recording this video in my vehicle, so please forgive me. Hope the quality's okay. You guys can hear me loud and clear. So the Switch 2 reveal was last week, and we've gotten a lot of mixed reviews, some good, some bad, mostly positive reviews from what I've been seeing on the internet. It's funny because there are a lot of haters out there that just want to see Nintendo fail with the Switch 2. It's the same thing with the original Switch. Nobody believed in the Nintendo Switch, at least the developers. After the failure of the Wii U, a lot of devs did not have their trust in Nintendo anymore. They did not believe in the Nintendo Switch. I remember watching an interview on YouTube, I think with Respawn from EA, and they asked, would Titanfall 2 come to the Nintendo Switch? And they totally disregarded the Nintendo Switch. They downplayed it and said, no, our game wouldn't be fit for Nintendo Switch. Big mistake, and a lot of developers followed suit, but nobody knew the Switch was going to take off, at least the developers. When I first saw the Switch 2 introduce, excuse me guys, sorry, when I first saw the current Switch revealed back in 2017, I was like, wow, the device was pretty cool. I mean, Sega Nomad was one of the first handhelds to actually play console level games because it used the Sega Genesis cartridges. But fast forward to the present, Nintendo perfected it with the Nintendo Switch. Remember that reveal trailer, them showing Mario, ARMS, and Skyrim. But anyway, my whole point is the Switch, the current Switch at least, has become a worldwide success. And a lot of developers that didn't believe in the Nintendo Switch, they're kicking themselves now. And now those same developers are head first, ready to dive in to support the Switch 2. And so far so good with the Switch 2. From the ramblings I've been hearing behind closed doors, all the developers are backing the Nintendo Switch 2. They're not going to make the same mistake of not supporting the Switch. So this time, devs are supporting the Nintendo Switch 2. And right out the gate, they are saying, even Nate the Hate, you know, one of the most reliable Nintendo Switch leakers out there, we can depend on them for good news. According to him and other sources, Metal Gear Delta is going to be in a Switch 2. Cyberpunk is going to be, or I'm hearing maybe, a launch title. Elden Ring, complete with the DLC, is going to be on the Switch as well. I don't know if it's going to be a launch title, but it may just be released in the first year. I don't see why Elden Ring and Cyberpunk shouldn't be ready to go as a launch title for the Switch 2, being that those games been out for some years now, and developers had a Nintendo Switch 2 development kits for quite some time. So the games that they want to launch with the Switch should be included in the 25 launch titles that's said to be available at launch with the Switch 2. But right out the gate, the Switch 2 is going to see the biggest launch that it has ever seen from a Nintendo platform. The last time we got a decent launch for Nintendo console, I believe, was the Wii U. The Wii U launched with a lot of pretty decent third-party games. Even Call of Duty was there at launch. They had several Call of Duty games on the Wii U. I believe Black Ops 2 and Call of Duty Ghosts. And the Wii U actually launched with some pretty decent titles that I wasn't really aware of at the time until I looked into it recently. And Spawnwave also did a video on the launch of the Wii U, the titles that was available for day one or within the first year. So they did pretty good, but the system failed. But I do not see the Switch 2 failing. And I've seen a lot of ramblings on the internet, Google, wherever, just all over the internet, with all this hate for Nintendo Switch 2, that it was going to fail. Some say it's going to be successful, but not as successful as the first Nintendo Switch. I highly doubt that. I mean, nobody knows what the future really holds. Anything is possible. But you know, a console selling 80 million plus, that's a successful console. 50 million, not so much. Especially if that console has been sold at a loss. But I think the Switch 2 is going to be bigger than the original Switch. And it's funny because people that were saying, Nintendo, don't repeat the Wii U situation. Whereas, don't call it a Switch U or a Switch attached. Just straight up call it a Switch 2 so the message is clear across the board. So families walking into a store, they know the difference between the current Switch and the Switch 2. Switch 2 is just clear. It's a bigger and better Switch. That's what everybody wanted. But it's a bigger and better Switch. People did not want Nintendo to overthink this thing, right? No gimmicks. Just give us a more powerful Switch. And honestly, I kind of agree with that because the Switch was already a perfect system. Well, no system is perfect, but what I'm saying is, as far as a concept of what the Nintendo Switch is, a hybrid console combining console and handheld together, was the perfect couple. Is the perfect idea, to the point where it stopped Valve from concentrating on the Valve Index. They dropped it all together to focus on the Steam Deck, and all these other PC handhelds started following suit, which further strengthens the fact that the Switch 2 was actually a brilliant idea and a success. And everybody wants a success. They're chasing the Switch dream. And so much people, they hate on the Nintendo Switch, but they're following its success. So pretty much they're admitting that the Switch is a great idea. But none of these PC handhelds are seeing this, are getting the same love as a Nintendo Switch. They're falling way, way behind in sales. The Steam Deck, last time I checked, was at 3 million. That's pretty pathetic. And there are people out there, they just love to support their favorite piece of plastic. Whatever they're playing on, whatever device they have, they love to justify why it's better than the other consoles. Which is funny to me, instead of just giving Nintendo their flowers. But if you look at the sales of the Nintendo Switch, 150 million plus sold, there's no argument there. I've seen people, and I've seen all these little Steam Deck channels, and they put Steam Deck on such a high pedestal, acting like it's the greatest handheld ever. No, it's not. We know it's a little bit more powerful than the Switch, or whatever. It's more, okay, we can say it's more powerful than the Switch, but so what? It's trying to be like the Switch, and that's why it's failing. Nintendo carved out their own niche, and so should Valve and all these other handheld makers. Copying Nintendo is not going to guarantee success. What works for Nintendo will not work for another company. When Nintendo tried to give us what we wanted, more graphics, they came out with a GameCube. The GameCube was a great system, man. I love the GameCube. I think it still should have had a DVD player. I know we had a DVD version in Japan or wherever, but we're not talking about it. We're talking about the USA, where it matters. The GameCube was such a great system. The GameCube was so much better than the PS2 on so many levels. Go back and try and play the PS2 right now. You don't want to play it. And anybody say they enjoy the PS2 now, they're lying to themselves. The PS1 and PS2 did not age well. But if you go back and you play any Nintendo system, whether it be the Nintendo 64, Super Nintendo, the GameCube, even the Wii U, you're gonna enjoy yourself. And those systems age very well. That's what I love about Nintendo. They design their games around their platforms, and their games has a different feel from any other platform out there. And that's just facts. But the GameCube had better graphics than, it was more powerful over the PS2. How did that work out for Nintendo? It didn't. It sold I believe 21 million. I can't even remember, 21 or 22 million versus PS2, whatever number Sony wants to inflate the PS2 at now, 160 million. They got smashed. Even the OG Xbox outsold the GameCube by, I believe, maybe by 2 million. So they came third place. They had the N64 prior to the GameCube, more powerful than the PS1. Yeah, I know the shortcoming of using the cartridge is what held the Nintendo 64 console back, because it was a very powerful console at the time. It lost to the Sony PlayStation. N64 sold 32 million versus PS1 101 million, I believe. So you see what I'm saying? So Nintendo figured it out. They was like, yo, when we try to give people what they want, it doesn't work. When we try to make better graphics, it still doesn't sell, because no matter what, people are always going to have their own expectations of Nintendo. No matter what, people are always going to have an excuse. That's just what I should have said the first time. No matter what Nintendo does, there always will be an excuse. Why? Because people don't want to see Nintendo win, at least the haters. If you're a Sony fan or you're an Xbox fan, you're going to have something negative to say about Nintendo. When Nintendo's doing good, oh man, it's for kids. And I see people play kiddie games all day. Fortnite and Fall Guys and all these other online shooter games you play that are for kids. Video games as a whole are for kids, so it doesn't really matter what platform you play on. No matter the platform you play on, PC, Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo, cell phone, you go sit in a restaurant, there's a screen right there, you can play games while you wait for your food. Video games are just for kids as a whole. It doesn't matter what platform you play on. So we need to get that stigma off of Nintendo out of the way. And because it's for kids doesn't mean that you can't enjoy it. I'm in my 40s, and no matter what age you are, we're all children at heart. People act childish. It doesn't matter. We're all children at heart. So that's an excuse. Let's give Nintendo their flowers, man. Nintendo games just feel different from a PlayStation, the Xbox, or even PC. And as far as PC goes, every PC owner has a console, whether it be a Nintendo Switch or a PlayStation. So if PC was all that high, mighty, and better, PC owners wouldn't have a console. So ask me this, why does a PC player have consoles if PC is so much better? I mean, overall, don't get me wrong, PC is better for numerous reasons, and there are also other reasons why consoles is also better in their own right. So the reason why consoles are better actually is very important. The ease of just playing your game. You put the disc in, press the power button, you're ready to play. With PC, you have to troubleshoot. The games aren't optimized as well as consoles, because when you have a console, you have one solid foundation across the board. Developers already know what they're working with. My PlayStation would be different from your PlayStation. PC, everybody PC is different. The requirements are different. That's why the requirements are there. So if your requirements isn't there, you may have to upgrade your computer. With a console, you don't. So that's the ease of use what makes consoles better than PC. And the majority of people prefer the game on consoles. The reason why PC is really in the limelight now is because Microsoft is pushing PC. They're putting all their games on PC. They're pushing everything towards PC because they know they can't see Nintendo or PlayStation, well, actually Nintendo and PlayStation in the console arena. They can't beat them. So of course they're going to push PC as the best narrative. But my thing is, if PC is the best narrative, why are you still making consoles, Microsoft? It's all a scapegoat, and it's funny how people don't see it. But that's another conversation for another day. So let's not get off track. Actually, I seen a video this morning. It's matter of fact, let me back up just a little bit more. The funny thing is, guys, people talk all this smack. I've seen all these Steam Deck videos. Oh, the Steam Deck is way better than the Nintendo Switch. Oh, I can play my PC games portably. This game doesn't run well on the Switch, and this game doesn't run on the Switch. It doesn't matter. The Switch is still better. PC plays certain games, and a console player plays certain games. Yes, Nintendo Switch may not be able to run all those crazy AAA games, but it doesn't need to. It does what it was supposed to do. Just play the games it was designed to play. Steam Deck can't play a lot of games as well. I remember when the Steam Deck first launched, there was a lot of games that wasn't certified to play on there. And some games that wasn't certified could play on there, but it didn't play well, or the controls were all over the place. You had to customize the control. That takes too much time. The thing I hate about these PC handhelds is the startup time. You always have to configure every game that you want to play. You have to configure your games, the megahertz, and the TDP to play games at 60 FPS or more if you can. And if you can't, you have to turn the settings down. So somebody will tell me, oh, well, you know, the Steam Deck, that's the beauty of it, man. You have options. You can adjust the scale of the games. You can adjust if you want to play it at 60 FPS or whatever. That defeats the purpose of a console. A console, you don't have to worry about it. You just download a game, or you stick the cartridge in the system and you play. You shouldn't have to adjust anything. So if the console can run the game at 1080p or 4K at 60 FPS or whatever, then it always plays the max. The console will always play the max that it can. But with a Steam Deck and a PC handheld, you always have to adjust the settings to get that sweet spot between graphics and frame rate, and that takes a lot of time. You factor in the startup screen and configuring the games that you want to play. That takes a lot of time. Where the Switch, you just jump right in, and the Switch dock mode is beautiful. You put on a dock, shows on TV, you pick up the Switch, you continue playing the handheld. With all these other PC handhelds, the dock is terrible. You have to sit in the dock, plug it in, the adapter in, plug the USB in, the HDMI in. It's just tacky. And you still have to, while the system is docked, you still have to interact with the screen, push the menu button in the Steam Deck to get the correct settings. So it's stupid. So once it goes in dock mode, you shouldn't have to be able to touch a unit with hand on the screen. Once it's docked, everything should be configured by the controller, but it doesn't work that way. And I don't want to hear about patches. That's another thing too I hate about this new age of gaming. All the patches is all about patches. Why you can't just optimize the game day one and put it out and that's it? Patches and updates take away a lot of exploits, a lot of fun things. People, I don't know why people are so accustomed to, oh, well, you know, you have updates. So if you have a physical cartridge, that cartridge gets obsolete. You can't update that game. I would say 9 out of 10 times a vanilla based game is actually better than a patch game, because the patch games usually adds DRM or take out some kind of fun exploit. So patching your games doesn't make the games any better. But I'm seeing all these Steam Deck videos, all these PC handheld videos, and they always say, oh man, the ROG Ally is better than the Nintendo Switch. The Steam Deck is better than the Nintendo Switch. And now that they've seen the Switch 2, they're hearing the specs, and they're hearing that the Switch 2 can run pretty much any AAA game that's currently out, and probably beyond. Now everybody's backpedaling and say, oh, I don't need my ROG Ally. I saw an article just a minute ago saying that, oh, the Nintendo Switch 2 made me take the ROG Ally out of my shopping cart. That's so funny, because just a year ago, oh, the Switch is done, the Switch is outdated, it's a toy, the ROG Ally is better, the Legion Go is better, the Steam Deck is better. But now seeing the Switch 2 can run all these AAA games, everybody's backpedaling now, making videos saying how they don't need a Steam Deck anymore, they don't need any PC handhelds anymore, the Switch 2 is all they need. And these were the guys that was talking shit on how corny the Switch 2 is. People are so funny. That's why I never pay attention to people. But let's talk about the power for a minute. When Nintendo made, and see, now Nintendo has a stigma on them that they don't make powerful consoles, that always make weak consoles. That's not true. I spoke about that already. Nintendo was a powerful console in its time. The Super Nintendo was a powerful console in its time. The N64, the GameCube. So the Super Nintendo didn't sell as much as the original Nintendo. Maybe for several reasons, I don't know. Back then, when I was a kid, a teenager, so we didn't care about sales. We just played games. But everybody I know had a Super Nintendo, and everybody had a Genesis. You had either or both. But everybody had a Super Nintendo, and I was shocked when I got a little bit older and looked up how much Super Nintendo sold and saw that it didn't sell a lot of units. I'm like, wow, but everybody had it. That's crazy. So after the Nintendo Entertainment System, Nintendo console started to decline. I don't think it's because of the quality. I also think because of the competition. Sega Genesis came in. They gave Nintendo a hell of a fight, even though I think Super Nintendo was a better system with better games. But honestly, in a way, they both were pretty much evenly matched, man. Like, Sega Genesis was a worthy competitor, more than a worthy competitor. Were they better than Nintendo? Nah, but they were more than a worthy competitor. They gave Nintendo a hell of a fight. So they did eat into the Super Nintendo market share for sure. And then with the N64, PS1, ate into the Nintendo 64 market share, and so did the PS2 and the OG Xbox. So it started to get really fierce. So, but the fact of the matter is, when Nintendo was making powerful consoles, they were seeing a decline in sales. And I always thought to myself, if Nintendo made a powerful console evenly with the PlayStation and Xbox, I think it would sell less. And here's why. Because they're not differentiating themselves and giving the masses a reason why to buy their console over a PlayStation and Xbox when it has the same graphics. So if they all have the same graphics, you're gonna go to the system you like the most. You get what I'm saying? Because you can look at a Nintendo system and say, oh, well, damn, yeah, the graphics is the same as a PlayStation or it's the same as an Xbox, but I'm used to the PlayStation, I'm used to the Xbox, so I'm gonna go with the PlayStation and Xbox. And that's what happened with the GameCube. Mostly. You get what I'm saying, guys? So Nintendo was smart. They said, yo, listen, we're making these powerful consoles, losing money. We can't keep taking these losses like that. We got to find a way to gravitate people to us. So they exit the graphics game, and they started like appealing to other players. Started like with the Wii U. They went after a certain demographic of people. It worked. And they started doing that with their consoles, starting with the Wii and the Switch. And that's what's working for them. They carved out their own niche. They see the Wii and the Nintendo Switch prove that people really don't care about graphics. They just want to have fun. They want something new, something different, something fresh, something innovative, something to take you away from the other platforms. And Nintendo found that. So I think no matter what Nintendo does, people are always going to complain. If Nintendo made a Switch 2 as powerful as a PlayStation 5, could play PC games, all the PC games, all the PS5 games, people will still complain. You know what they're going to say? Well, it's about time, but it costs $700. Go look up how much a Legion Go costs in any of these PC handhelds. I believe the Steam Deck is the cheapest PC handheld out there, and I respect Valve for that. But Valve is taking a huge loss. Do you actually think that Valve is making money off of the Steam Deck? No, they're not. They're losing a lot of money. They're willing to sell their handheld at a loss and make up the money on the back end off of the Steam storefront. You understand what I'm saying? They're willing to take a loss. It's just like a dealer. If he has good quality weed, to get those customers, he might give you a deal. It's the same thing. Come on, guys. I'm a businessman. I have my own business. I know how business works. You understand what I'm saying? So, no matter what Nintendo does, people are always going to criticize. They're always going to complain. That's just what it is. That's why I'm glad Nintendo kind of don't listen to us. They just do what they need to do from a business perspective. And once we finally get it in our hands, we understand that, okay, I'm kind of glad why they did this. I see why Nintendo took this route. I mean, I would love for Nintendo to go back in a graphical game, but when I think about it, it's not really ideal. It's going to be too expensive. People are going to complain about it. It's not going to sell because of the price. Not everybody can afford it, at least if they wanted to. I mean, I have 3 Steam Decks, 2 ROG Allies, and I have a Legion Go, and I have several Nintendo Switches, so I have no problem getting those platforms. If Nintendo came out with a handheld or a system that's $700, but the graphics is up there with all the other consoles, I would buy it. Because if they let me know beforehand that, this system is going to cost $700, I'll just save $100 a month or $100 every week. How hard is that? In a month and a half, you would have the money to buy you a Nintendo console that's $700. People buy $1,700 phones all the time. I have a Galaxy 24 Ultra, 1 terabyte. That phone cost me almost $1,700. You understand what I'm saying? That's like 2 PS4 Pros. The PS5 Pro is $700. Actually, damn, it's a little bit more than 2. It's like 2. It's pretty much like 2 PS5 Pros and one regular PS5. But if people want it, they can get it. So all that, it's too expensive is an excuse. We spend thousands of dollars, hundreds of dollars on things every day. And all this PC talk, a good PC, you at least need to spend $1,700 to get a decent PC. But you can't buy a powerful Switch for $700 if Nintendo actually came out with it. So people are just spoiled. And see, Microsoft and Sony has gotten people spoiled on graphics, where they forget about gameplay, simple details like you drive your car in snow, you see the tire tracks, and you're playing an open world game. You see a building, there's an invisible wall, you can't climb up the building. Look at a game like Zelda. You can climb any and everything. If there's a building there, you can go inside the building. That's some next level stuff, guys. You look at games like Horizon Zero Dawn, which is a boring game. You can't climb anything. So it's a step back. It's like they focus too much on graphics, but they're forgetting about the simple details like, climbing a tree, climbing a building, going inside a building. Simple stuff like that we do every day when we leave our houses. You know what I'm saying? Well, we don't climb houses and stuff like that, but you get my point. It's just simple stuff, man, like that. So Zelda, man, Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom is like the best game, man. Like Breath of the Wild is the best game to come out in the past 7 years. It inspired Elden Ring. And see, the thing about social media tells you what games to play, what games are the best games. Look at that Wukong game. That game is some trash. It reminds you of Ninja Gaiden, but Ninja Gaiden is a way better game. But people put on this high pedestal. It's like people's happy with less. Just give me some graphics. I don't care about anything else. But Nintendo, they're giving you everything else that Sony and Microsoft isn't giving you, and that's why they're winning. Xbox and PlayStation games aren't really selling as much because they're not making quality games. Nintendo is. And I'm glad Nintendo is still around, showing the competition how games should be made, how it's done. If it wasn't for Nintendo, a lot of people nowadays wouldn't be gaming. If it wasn't for Nintendo, Xbox and PlayStation wouldn't be here. These handhelds wouldn't be here. So I just had to set the record straight on that, because I'm seeing all these YouTube videos, but I don't see anybody speaking the truth. And that's the difference between my channel and a lot of channels out there. Like, I speak the truth. I don't get paid from no company to speak my mind. I don't advocate for any company. I'm a gamer at heart. And this Generation Z, all these fake gamers out here, there's a lot of YouTubers that are fake gamers, and all they play is just the games of social media. Tell them to play the most popular games, and the most popular games aren't even great, aren't even fun. It can only hold your attention for like maybe a month and a half. Then you're looking for something else to play. That's why they keep remaking Call of Duty every year, because you get bored of the current Call of Duty in the first couple of months, and then by the end of the year they're telling you, oh, we have another Call of Duty game coming out, and you go out and buy it, because in your brain you're saying to yourself, oh, you're making a new Call of Duty, it's gonna be better than the last one. It has to be better because it's newer. Then you get it, and it's the same old crap. But it's too late, because you already fell into the trap of buying it. And then the psychology part comes in, like, okay, newer is better, they're going to improve on it. And it's the same game every year, just like the sports games are the same games every year. That's why I don't buy sports games. So I don't know where all the Switch 2 hate is coming from, but the same people that hate on Switch are the same people that goes out and buy it. I've had people that downplay the Nintendo Switch telling me it's for kids, it's stupid. And in the last days, those people go out and buy the Switch, and then they actually enjoy it. I'm like, how you telling me the Switch sucks, but you never played the system? Don't tell me it's for kids when you're telling me you're playing Fortnite with your kids, or all these games with your kids. It makes no sense to me. Don't hate on it. Give Nintendo their flowers. You understand what I'm telling you? Nintendo makes games where they think out the box. Nintendo can make it, not because it has colors doesn't mean it's for kids. Nintendo can make a game that looks kiddie. I'm going to give you Pikmin, for example. I remember a buddy of mine, when the GameCube came out, he fell in love with Pikmin. And I'm looking at Pikmin saying to myself, yo, that's a kiddie game, man. I don't like how I look. Until one day I played it, and I started off on the Pikmin 3, and I couldn't believe how brilliant that game is, because they kept on making Pikmin games. I'm like, yo, why they keep making this kiddie game? It must be doing good. It must be good because they keep making it. And I started off on Pikmin 3, and I was like, whoa, this game is next level, man. It looks kiddie, but when you play it, it's so much thought that goes into that game. And there's a difference between an animated game that makes you think versus a kiddie game. Because a kiddie game is just that. It's simple. You really can't lose in a kiddie game. But you can make it look kiddie, or it could look cartoony with colors, but once you start putting thought into it, you're pouring your personal life into a game, and it can reflect your own personal life. Isn't kiddie anymore. It's the thought that goes into it. Simplicity is for kids. Complexity is for adults. Nintendo makes a lot of complexity games. Their games are complex. They don't overthink it, but it allows some thinking. And when you overcome it, you're blown away, like, wow, that was kind of brilliant. Look at Astrobot. I went out and bought Astrobot. And you could kind of, I wouldn't say I bought into the hype, because I remember Astrobot from the Playroom, and I thought it was decent when they were introducing what the PS5 can do. And a buddy of mine told me that's why Nintendo is best, because no matter what platform you play on and the games you play, a lot of Nintendo DNA is implemented in those games. And that's why they were comparing. I saw a video where they showed all the moves and gameplay Sony stole from Mario to recreate Astrobot. Astrobot is like a recreation of Mario, just a different character. Because I played Astrobot, and I'm like, wow, this game is actually pretty good, man. It's a really fun game. And the first thing that hit me was, this is how video games are supposed to be. It's supposed to be fun, not overthinking it, just pure fun. Get what I'm saying, guys? Just pure fun. But at the same time, I'm like, yo, they got this from Mario. They got that from Mario. Even when you get the little backpack that makes you inflate like a balloon, they did that in Super Mario. Then you had the high jumps. They got that when in from Mario Odyssey, when You throw your hat on a frog and all of a sudden you can jump really high. Or if you jump on something or an enemy, boosts you up in it. They got their whole DNA from Mario. And I could not stop laughing. I felt like I was playing a Mario game. And for Sony, as far as the point they're trying to get across, having a fun platformer like Mario, they definitely did that. It's a great game. It's a very good game. I'm not gonna lie to you. But I checked out the sales, it didn't do good. Because at the end of the day, that's not Mario. But I commend them though. It's a good game. But come on now. Come on now, guys. So Nintendo is king, man. Nintendo's the best in the ever graced game. If Nintendo stopped making systems, that's when I stopped playing video games. There's nothing more for me after that. And let's talk about the digital realm. That's why Sony's falling behind. Sony's following in the same footsteps as Microsoft. These stupid live service games, closing down studios, not sticking to what they know, which is like those single player story action games that they're known for, like Uncharted, for example. Resistance. What happened to Resistance? What happened to Killzone? I mean, Jet Moto, like Twisted Metal. So many games PlayStation is leaving on the table. And it's sad. They're following in Microsoft footsteps. And they're going to end up like Microsoft. Microsoft is good. They don't really need gaming. But Sony does. I know they have other divisions, the Sony Music Group and the Sony Pictures. But PlayStation is what's bringing in the money for them. If PlayStation fall, that could really hurt Sony. Because the electronic division, the electronic division isn't even doing good. Their cell phones don't do good. Their TVs don't sell as well as the LG and the Samsung. I mean, come on, guys. Sony changed. That Jim Ryan really messed Sony up really bad, and it's sad. And Sony's the only company that could rival Nintendo, because Nintendo, in not so many ways, made Sony, and a lot of people don't know that. A lot of people don't even want to admit it. Sony and Nintendo work together. That's what people fail to realize. And Sony took everything Nintendo taught them and used it against them. Remember how people was getting on Nintendo about, third party developers were burned by Nintendo and mad at Nintendo because they did have a monopoly on gaming for a while, and Nintendo had some developers only allowed them to make certain games a year, and Nintendo had a seal of quality. If the game wasn't good, they wasn't putting it out. And they have exclusive games. If you make games for a platform, you cannot make games for another platform. And that's why the Sega Master System didn't have no good quality games compared to the NES. Because Nintendo said, if you make games for us, you cannot make games for anybody else. That was actually smart. It was messed up. It was dirty. It's a dirty trick. I can admit that. But, hey, what you want them to do? Sony took the same page from Nintendo. PS1, what did they do? Nothing but exclusive games. PS2, PS3, nothing but exclusive games. They did the same thing, but when Sony do it, it's okay. But when Nintendo did it, it was dirty. They did the same thing. Wait till they learn their tactics from Nintendo. They learned everything from Nintendo. And why do you think Nintendo don't want to work with anybody else, especially Microsoft? Do you know how many times Microsoft actually went to Nintendo and pleaded with them, begged them, hey, Nintendo, let's do a console together. We'll handle the hardware. You just handle the games. Nintendo told them no, because that's helping Xbox. We saw what happened when Nintendo helped Sony back in the days with the Super Nintendo add-on, the CD add-on, and Sony tried to turn around and play Nintendo, get all the royalty fees from every game. That's on disc, and they had the rights to those games. They had a messed up contract. So Nintendo's not stupid. They're not doing that again. They're not helping Xbox. They're not helping anybody. It would have been a beautiful thing though if Sony didn't try to make that messed up contract for Nintendo. But Sony didn't need Nintendo after a while, after the PS1. And Nintendo damn sure don't need them. Nintendo never needed Sony. And right now, Nintendo is at its best that it has ever been. Yeah, their consoles were on a decline, starting from the Super Nintendo all the way up to at least the GameCube. but their handhelds were always bringing in the money, and their games were bringing in the money. So Nintendo was good. And look how powerful Nintendo is now. They got a theme park, cool theme park. They have a Nintendo museum. Come on now, Sony and Microsoft cannot make a museum. What the hell are they going to show in that museum? Really? Who's going to go out of their way to go to an Xbox or a PlayStation museum and show what? Nintendo got the icons, the franchises. Man, come on, man. That Nintendo museum is dope as hell, man. They can't do what Nintendo do. Now they're making movies. Mario was like one of the biggest grossing selling movies, man. Come on, man. I got a Zelda movie coming out. I mean, they can keep it going. They could make a Smash Brothers movie. That'd be dope. They could make a Kid Icarus movie. They could make a Punch-Out movie. Come on, man. Y'all really want to go there with Nintendo? Nintendo is the best, man. The writing's on the wall for the competition. Now, everybody's feeling the heat from the Switch 2. They're scared. Nintendo's coming out with a handheld that can play AAA games, your favorite games, Cyberpunk. I won't be surprised if GTA 6 show up. Do they need GTA? No. It'll be a good look for them. Nintendo never need to Call of Duty or GTA to sell their system. That even further proves that they're better than the competition. Without Call of Duty and GTA, PlayStation, and Xbox, it wouldn't sell. If you look back at their history, even Xbox, Microsoft went to Rockstar and paid millions of dollars just to take the exclusivity away from Sony. Sony was smart on that. And let's not forget, GTA. The team that made GTA actually started on Nintendo. They made Body Harvest. And then right after Body Harvest, they formed another company and they made GTA. Isn't that funny? Nintendo let all these companies slip through their fingers because of the cartridge mistake, making cartridges with an N64. But all those companies that left, they're paying for it now. Now their games aren't selling. Sony and Microsoft are forced to put their games on other platforms just to recoup losses. While Nintendo's raking in all the money, Nintendo can't lose right now. And if Nintendo really wanted to, they could make a powerful handheld, a powerful console that'll bury anything PlayStation, Xbox, or Valve could ever dream of if they wanted to, and sell at a loss, make up for it with a better online, their museum, their theme parks, their movies, and call it a day if they wanted to. But Nintendo was like, you know what? We like you guys. We like PlayStation. We like Xbox. We like options. We like the choice. So we're not going to end them. If Nintendo really wanted to, they could end PlayStation and Xbox. But at this point, they don't even need to. But as with life, guys, everything goes back in a full circle. Life goes in a full circle. You know, you start with one trend, then another trend comes, and that previous trend you like gets played out, but it always goes back to the very beginning. Life always goes back to the very beginning. All those old clothes, remember the bell-bottom jeans the girls used to wear back in the days? That came back. Everything comes back. The fashion that was old comes back. Or even the toys, the Chia Pet toys, they brought it back. Just call it a different name. You see what I'm saying? My daughter got one of those Furby toys for Christmas. And they had Furby years ago. They just brought it back. You see what I'm saying? Everything comes back in a full circle. What do I mean by that? What does it have to do with gaming? Check this out. If you look back at the Nintendo Super, let's go back to the Nintendo / Super Nintendo era where we had the top-down 2D RPGs, right? And we had side scrollers back in the 90s. Look at all these indie games. All these indie games currently consist of top-down 2D RPG games, like similar to Chrono Trigger, Sea of Stars, for example. You have all these side scrollers. You got games like Blade Chimera or Chimera Blade. I don't know if I'm saying it backwards, right? If you look at that game, that's a 2D side scroller game. that was similar to the Super Nintendo style games. So all the Super Nintendo style games are back in full force, aka indie games. So the indie developers are the ones that really have passion for making games, especially how games used to be. If you look back in the 90s, those are some of the best consoles. Nintendo, Super Nintendo, Genesis. Those are like the best, one of the best era, or I could even say the best era of gaming, because that's when gaming was fun. The graphics are bigger and better, but also the gameplay was there, the fun factor. And that's what it's going back to. So I remember when Nintendo was still making those great games, PlayStation came in and they tried to paint a narrative that Nintendo's for kids and they make games for adults, right? In all actuality, they were doing the same thing Nintendo were doing. They were just downplaying Nintendo. It's kind of like 50 Cent, how he downplayed Ja Rule for singing, but he started singing. You see what I'm saying? You know, he had something good. He took the same style, but just tried to switch it up at the same time, downplaying Ja Rule. PlayStation took what made Nintendo fun, did the same thing, but at the same time downplaying Nintendo. Oh, Nintendo's for kids. We're for adults. Video games for kids no matter what. Even the PlayStation 2. More kids play on Xbox than they even play on Nintendo. You go on Call of Duty, there's nothing but kids shouting in your ears. You see what I'm saying? But the fact of the matter is, everything's going back in full circle. It's going back to when video games are supposed to be fun. It doesn't have to have the best graphics, just fun factor, the way how you play the games, the way how the games make you feel. You get what I'm saying? It's going back to that now. That's why the indies are putting out better games in these AAA studios with 1/3 of the cost and be successful at it. What these AAA companies need to do is fund these independent companies to make those games, bring those games into 3D, into the 3D realm. So it's a no-brainer that Nintendo, I don't even know why Nintendo people are trying to like praise the Switch, not the Switch 2, the Switch now, whereas Nintendo has always been good. They never changed. Nintendo never really changed. They were always about fun, great games, different ways to play this game. Look at ARMS. Look at ARMS. People criticize the ARMS. Actually, ARMS did good in sales. It ain't gonna sell like a Mario, come on, or Zelda, but it sold well enough for them to make a sequel if they wanted to, which I think they should, because ARMS is a really dope game. I love that game. That game is really good. Look how in ARMS, how you control your character, how you can use the Joy-Cons and you can just throw your arms out. If you throw a curved punch in real time, it throws it in the game. That's brilliant. You can't do that with a PlayStation Xbox controller. Zelda, Breath of the Wild, you use a controller to aim your arrow. You can't do that on Xbox or PlayStation. Come on, man. I don't know why people try to put Nintendo on their pedestal now. They've been great. They never changed. It's just people are starting to realize that, yo, you know what? Nintendo games are actually fun. We're tired of what PlayStation and Xbox are giving us. We're tired of PlayStation and Xbox feeding us the same game. If you look at the Xbox, for example, right? The OG Xbox, love that system. Great system. It set the foundation for the 360. 360 took it over the mountain, over the moon. That was Xbox's last great system. So they had two great systems under their belt, right? Then the Xbox One, DRM, digital. They messed up on that. Oh, and matter of fact, let me not even lose track. Let me just finish saying what I got to say before I move on. Xbox One, Xbox SAD, Xbox Series S, Xbox One X, Xbox Series S, Xbox Series X, and then you have the white Xbox One X. They made 7 consoles that did the same freaking thing and played the same games with the same UI and the same controller. They didn't change anything. Tell me what's the difference between those 7 consoles Xbox made. That's a lot of money they wasted, man. That's why they're losing. And Sony's following in their footsteps. Sony, you need to stop putting your games on PC so you can keep your identity. Because once We can play all your games on PC. It's not about choice anymore. That's just a scapegoat, a fake narrative that Microsoft painted. You're going to lose everything because that way Microsoft wins. They got all your games plus their games on PC. So you don't need a PlayStation anymore. Nintendo is not folded. You want to play a Nintendo game, you have to buy a Nintendo system. And even when you have those emulators and you play Nintendo games on PC, it does not feel the same like you would on a Nintendo console, because a Nintendo console is designed for its games to play only in that console. That Nintendo feel is not there once it leaves a Nintendo system. I have Breath of the Wild on PC. I can run it in 4K, whatever frames. I still rather play it on the Switch. You know why? It looks pretty much the same and it plays great. It just plays better on there to me because the way how you have to play it on a Nintendo system, the way how you can tilt the control, tilt the system, tilt the control, it just has a Nintendo feel. It's not the same. And all these people are upset that Nintendo is blocking emulators. Why? Now you're mad because you can't play Nintendo games on the PC. Now you're forced to go buy a Nintendo system. That's the smartest thing Nintendo ever done. They're protecting their IPs. I used to do music. You think I'm going to put my music out there and don't copyright it and people steal my music and make millions off of it and I should be okay with that? It's the same. That's the same way Nintendo's looking at it. There's no difference. They're protecting their IPs. That's what keep them above water. So Nintendo, keep doing what you're doing. Digital is not the way. It's not the future. Yes, of course, digital sales are more than physical sales, because when you're selling digital games for like $5 on Steam, $7, $20, and the cartridge is still $60 at the store, of course, common sense. Your money goes further with digital, because I'm a physical collector and my digital library is more than my physical games. Do I buy digital games? Well, not really. It's just that it's $70 for a console game, right? You can take that same $70 and buy several games that's $20, $5, $7 on a good sale on Steam. It's a no-brainer. That's the only way they corner the physical market. I like to own my games. I'm sorry. I'm in my 40s. I still have all my physical games, and I show my 7-year-old daughter. I look at my daughter and say, look, daughter, this is my physical video game collection. I've been collecting video games for years. This is what I used to play on. Check it out. And she loves it, right? So all you digital people out there, several years from now, when you want to show your kids what you used to play on, it's not going to work. Oh, man, people are funny, man. Switch 2. Sorry for the ranting, guys, but I really had to get this off of my chest. And there's this guy on YouTube called JD Coffee. Great guy, great dude, man, great content. I watched one of his videos, and one of his videos was so brilliant. I had to send him a message, man, and because it touched my soul, because he spoke about Nintendo. And Nintendo it's not only about gaming. Nintendo is a way of life. That's why Nintendo, people cry over Nintendo. When Nintendo make a new system or a big game, people cry, tear up, and I see why. And somebody that's not a gamer would understand. You have to understand, Nintendo is very important to my life. Like, they're a way of life. Like, when I think about Nintendo, I think about my family, and family is very important. Those games, those systems has a lot of memories attached to it. PlayStation and Xbox, there is no memories attached to it. They even have a Nintendo. They have several Nintendo movies out there. I saw this one Nintendo movie where this guy, he explained as a kid how he wanted a Nintendo, and he was doing these odd jobs to save up to try and get a Nintendo. His parents wouldn't buy him a Nintendo. Yo, Nintendo revolved around my whole life. And I see that's why, you know, people cry over Nintendo. People might look at it, oh, why you crying? Just go buy the damn game. Now you don't understand, bro. Like, yo, listen, I'm from Jamaica, man. And like, Nintendo was huge in Jamaica. And I remember going to parties as a kid, having fun. And then like everybody was crowded around a Nintendo, playing a Nintendo. My dad brought a Nintendo from England because he traveled a lot. I remember when he brought it to me and he said, hey, Red Crimson, all the kids are going crazy over this, so I thought you would like it, so I bought it for you. Never knew what it was. I took it to my aunt. My aunt read the instructions, hooked it up. Like Mario came on. I'm like, oh my God. I was in love, and that's all I could think about, man. So my family is attached to it. I mean, I can go on my life experience, how I was feeling, what was happening at the time because of Nintendo. Like Nintendo always brought the family together, always brought the kids together. And you have your distant cousins you haven't seen in a long time. You like to play with them, have fun with them, and they don't go out of their way to see, or the parents don't go out of their way to really bring them to your house so they can play with you, but they want to come over your house because you got that Nintendo over there. And then like the whole family just come over there, your cousins, and y'all, he might come with a game that you never played before. You pop the game, y'all playing the game, having fun, eating food and snacks. Come on, man. It's too many memories attached to Nintendo. Nintendo is responsible for a lot of people memories. That's why a lot of older people support Nintendo. If you go on YouTube, you see grown men, white beards, talking about Nintendo. I never thought I would see the day a grown-ass man talking about Nintendo. All these podcasts, grown men. And I'm from the era where video games were considered nerdy. You were an outcast if you played video games. My aunt used to be like, oh, you're still playing that Nintendo? You ain't grow up yet? And I ignored her because I knew what I had. And people who talk about things in a negative way, they never had any hands-on experience. It's easy to talk about something when you never experience it. But when you experience it, like, whoa. So when I was playing video games as a kid, I knew what I had. And I knew it could only get better from there. Zelda, man. Psh, come on, man. I started off playing Zelda on the NES. I found out about Zelda when I went to my dad's girlfriend house and her kids had Zelda and I played. I was like, whoa, this game is dope. Just the open world aspect of it, not knowing where to go. You just got to figure stuff out. That's crazy. And Nintendo with Breath of the Wild, they went back to the drawing board with how they made an original Zelda to make Breath of the Wild. See how it is? That's what I said. Everything comes back in full circle. Life comes back in full circle. That's what I mean, guys. It's too much memories attached to Nintendo. So when I hear all this nonsense about, oh, Nintendo's for kids, I don't see kids on YouTube talking about Nintendo. It's always grown-ass adults. When I go to school to pick up my daughter, I seen this attractive lady. She had on a Zelda shirt, all green. That's crazy. And she says, yeah, I beat Tears of the Kingdom already. I see grown women with tattoos, men with tattoos, Zelda, Nintendo tattoos, Mario, the mushroom. I mean, come on, man. Are you kidding me? There's Nintendo and everything. I saw somebody, their license plate said Zelda. I've never seen anybody with a Xbox tattoo, an Xbox shirt, or Xbox on their license plate, neither PlayStation. Every now and then you might spot one or two people wearing a PlayStation sweater, but that's about it. It's always Nintendo. Nintendo shirts, Nintendo backpacks, Nintendo coffee mugs, coffee cups. Come on, man. It's a Nintendo takeover all over again. And now they have apparel. Are you kidding me? Nintendo's the freaking best. And people are just in denial because their favorite piece of plastic isn't doing well. Switch 2, Nintendo for life. Prepare for the Nintendo dominance. Competition, PlayStation, Xbox, PC. I have nothing against none of those platforms. I support all of them except for the Xbox. But be very, very afraid of what Nintendo's going to do, man. And the last thing I want to touch on is people said Nintendo should continue with the Switch idea, the Switch 3, Switch 4. Sound good. But Nintendo, I wouldn't even want, I mean, listen, as great as the Switch is, I still think Nintendo should throw a console in there every now and then. Nintendo themselves said it, that they're not done with consoles. They said they started with consoles and they're going to end with consoles. Now, a friend of mine, we talk sometimes, love him to death. I mean, smart guy, but when it comes to like video games, like his vision is blurred. He thinks I'm stuck on console. It started with consoles, always going to end with consoles, not PC. Consoles ain't going nowhere unless Nintendo wanted to go somewhere. So when PlayStation and Xbox move over to console fully, Nintendo's gonna come out with a console. They're gonna have the console market to themselves. I don't think Nintendo should finish with. They're not done. They said they're not done, but I think they should come out. Even as successful as the Switch is, I still think they should come out with another console. But I think Nintendo is just waiting for the right time. They're gonna see how the Switch 2 thing plays out. But even if it's successful, which I know it will, throw a console in there every now and then. Nintendo shows Sony and Microsoft they made a big mistake by going all digital. You come out with another console, CD based, DVD, whatever, Blu-ray, whatever, and throw some power behind it. And speaking of power, matter of fact, I glossed over this. Speaking of power, it sounds good that Nintendo should make a powerful console, but is that really ideal? Because people want what they think they want. You think you want a platform that's powerful, but then the games have 10-year development time. The games are taking too long to come out. The games are being rushed. And then you complain about the games being watered down, and then it doesn't sell. So Nintendo knows a highly detailed graphical game, a big open world game, a big 3D world game takes years to make, man. You have to test those games and put so much into it. Larger teams, hundreds of people, going into 1,000 people to make this one game that takes 10 years. It doesn't make any sense where they can just take it back old school, give you a game that looks decent enough, doesn't take years to make, but you can put so much detail into the game and fun facts into the game. I'd rather have some okay graphics but great gameplay than a system that has great graphics but no fun games and no fun games, pretty much. So you see what Nintendo is about. They're doing it right. You have to understand, guys, Nintendo, this is their bread and butter, gaming. They're passionate about gaming. Sony and Xbox isn't passionate about gaming. I think Sony was at one point before they changed presidents, but Nintendo's passionate about gaming. They want to preserve gaming. They know what gaming really is about. Gaming is being on a console, a locked-in system that's designed for fun. None of the intricacies of a PC. Just plug and play, simple and fun. I'm gonna go ahead and end it right here, guys. If you're new to my channel, you already know what to do. Like and subscribe. It'll help my channel out. I'd appreciate it. I want this video to circulate because I'm speaking nothing but truth. I'm telling you what nobody else is telling you on YouTube, which is the truth. I put a lot into this video. I really poured my heart into this video. Like and subscribe.